Hello and welcome to the Now Debate. Jared Walters here with my partner in crime, Mr. Richard Oliver. Richard, how are you today?
I'm okay. Not doing too bad. Got a bad chest. So I'm just praying it's not a coronavirus, which would be really ironic. So,
If anyone's going to catch you, but it's probably going to be you.
yes, I catch stuff that I hear about on the telly. I literally do. That's how much of a immune
Yeah,
system I got.
yeah.
I
You don't
do.
have
If
to
I watch,
count.
if I watch someone have a cold, I'll catch it. That's how it is. So,
You don't even have to come into contact with me. We'll just hear about it.
yeah.
Today, today we're talking about paranormal activity caught live on television and online. So caught live on camera. That's going to be our little discussion today. So, any of you guys got any suggestions in the chat? Richard, do you have any news?
Um, I don't know. No, there's been a lot going on with this, obviously, with this coronavirus and stuff. This kind of, well, I don't know, people seem to be freaking out a bit. The more it's going on, the worse it seems to be getting. I mean, personally, I'm going to throw this out there. I think this coronavirus has been around. This SARS-19 has been around for a long time, and it's only because in an isolated area it's got so bad now it's becoming widespread. And I think probably most of us have actually had it in some shape or other, because over the last couple of months, just before Christmas, there was about 7 or 8 of my friends who had a chesty cough for over, and we're talking now, this is in the realms of six, 6 weeks to 3 months. And they were just given normal antibiotics for it, but it seemed to be across the board. And that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's just because it's out there now in the public domain. They're testing everyone for it. I
Well,
think they weren't obviously looking for it before. So,
well, the World Health Organization has said this is the first ever corona, because obviously corona is actually a designation of viruses.
yeah.
This one is obviously COVID-19. You've had SARS, you've had MERS. There's been a few others, but they've been the major outbreaks. But this is the first pandemic that we've had of a corona type of virus. And
Mm.
obviously, as of 2 hours ago, according to the mainstream media, the World Health Organization has now officially designated this a pandemic. And they say about people with underlying health problems. But you know, how many people do you know who are not on tablets or something these days? I can,
Well, I
people
mean,
in my family,
yeah.
young and old, a lot of them are on tablets. So I've got, I've got young people in my family who've got asthma. I've got people in my family with diabetes. I've got people in my family who are old, obviously. So I'm, to be honest with you, it's quite interesting, and as you know, and as other people know, who watch the channel, one of my hobbies is gaming, and it's not a game that I've specifically been playing, but I know a lot about it. There's a game called The Division, or a game franchise called The Division, of which a couple of family members and friends, and even my partner, tends to play quite a lot. And the premise for The Division is a virus, a flu virus, which is genetically engineered and sprayed onto money. And it basically infects a market in New York, and it spreads then throughout the UK. And obviously the game is set after, in like a post-apocalyptic Washington DC, after um, after the pandemic has basically wiped out like 2/3 or something ridiculous of the Earth's population. But what I found quite interesting is that with the first division, as far as I'm aware, because I've only seen clips of the first one. The second one I've seen quite a lot of, but the first one they show clips like before the pandemic, and there's people telling me now that it's very much they feel surreal to those players because they feel like they're playing it. They feel like it's happening in real life.
Mm.
So whatever's
Well,
happening, whether the fear and the panic is the actual pandemic here, and this is going to force a problem reaction solution scenario, especially when you've got the Prime Minister and Good Morning Britain being given the possible death rate of 3.4% or whatever it was, and saying, oh, we'll just take it on the chin, then, people, I think I can understand why people are panicking in a sense. But obviously panic doesn't solve anything, Take sensible precautions, yes. But at the end of the day, if this is the genuine article, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario. Because, people have to work, people have to go to school, and people have to go to college, people have to earn money, people have to pay their debts or pay their bills. And, at the end of the day, if you've got a job and you're 3 months away from a house repossession or something like that, and you come down with this illness, are you going to risk not going to work? Do you know what I'm saying? So, I'm kind of the opinion that there is something going on here, and I have got good reason to believe it. But that's kind of where we are with it at the moment. I would say, just to anyone listening, take sensible precautions. What's your vibe on it all about, apart from?
Well, I think the problem is, and as much as I really don't trust the government, and I really don't trust any powers that be, because they've never ever proved themselves to be worthy of their position. But it's people as well. I mean, people, you've seen, I know there's only a few sort of posts on your book base of people scrapping over toilet roll, but it's that self-preservation.
Yeah.
And that is a damning sort of personality trait within people that will cause a situation like this to be much worse.
Yeah.
And I'm not telling people to just go out there and be selfless, but what I'm saying is, if you think about other people are going to be going through what you're about to go through, and you don't be so greedy, because you don't need it. Do you know what I mean? You can plan it out quite well to give yourself enough to survive for a couple of months. You don't have to be greedy and take everything and make sure you've got more than you need. You just, we need to balance it out. And I think, people, because they're going to be shut in. I've seen now 6 occasions now where in 2 weeks they're on about shutting all schools, all colleges, businesses. They've already closed, I think it's 4 A&Es for a deep clean, with no sort of premise for when it's going to be open next. So
you see lots of businesses, Sky's offices down in Cardiff, for example. This is the thing, and this is where every family is going to be having this conversation in the country. Is at what point do you self-isolate? At what point? Because the thing is, someone my age, I'm 37, 38 this year. I'll probably just have mild symptoms. All right, I do have an underlying health complaint, but I will, I'm reasonably healthy for a fat man.
I've got chronic asthma and COPD, so I'm knackered.
So this is what I mean. You might have more severe symptoms than I would.
Yeah,
so I've got to think of, I've got to think of you if I come into contact with it, or I've got to think of the older generation in my family. My nan's 80. I don't really want to be giving it to her. Do you know what I mean?
Well, if you look at if we look at it, right, and this is how I've been trying, because people have been really panicking, right, and I've been having a lot of people asking me, right, so I'm going to throw it out there now. I'm going to do a little video on it when I get a chance, so I want to talk about it. But everything I've ever read, and I have studied this for I'd say probably 25 years now, I have looked into prophecies, biblical text, and before I ever became a paranormal investigator, this was something, and every message I've ever read and ever seen always leads to the same thing. Good people will be okay, and bad people, unfortunately, won't. So whatever scenario, if it becomes the worst case scenario, if you hold love inside you and you tried your best, I think you'll be okay. I think genuinely, that comes with its own kind of protection, and I really believe that.
In what sense will you be okay? Are you talking in the life after death sense? Are you talking, because innocence will, so I'd say in that, but innocence does get affected by,
Yeah, it
Innocent
does.
people die, man.
Yeah, yeah, they do, right? There's no getting out of it. They do. But I think, we can, things like this set off that fear factor.
Yeah.
And I think, genuinely, I think if the world, I think, if there's such a thing as Judgment Day and Armageddon, and I don't think that's what the texts tell us it's going to be.
No.
But if there was, just for a worst case scenario, then if you've been a good person, and I don't mean like, we're not talking about walking on water, we're not, in this world, nobody's perfect, right? But if you've tried your best and you've been selfless and you hold love in your heart, for people who aren't directly genetically attached to you, then you will be fine. That will be rewarded, because that is genuinely one of the main purposes of life. And I think, that's, I'll do a little video and I'll explain it a bit more. I've got a bit more in there. I don't want to go too much in, because I want to talk about something else.
Okay.
And I want to come off the coronavirus.
Yeah, well, I'm going to have one last note, is because I don't want this stream to be, about that. We can do other videos about that, or, we can talk about that another time, and obviously this is a paranormal channel. There's one last thing I want to say. Amanda, I'm not going to read out what you've put on the chat in the video. I will contact you privately later, and I will inform Richard as to what you've said as well. Okay, so I don't want to read that out on a video, because obviously this video lasts for... this video can last for a while. So, and right. The chat, it'll come up on the chat anyway, but but apparently the one bit I will say is the authorities, are only testing people who have been abroad, which kind of adds credence to what you said, when only 25,000 people have been tested in a country of 68 million. Yeah. Right. What was the other thing you'd like to move on to, my friend?
Well, I was talking to a gentleman called Gary Jones. Have I said that right? Yeah, it's Gary Jones. About the Penturk incident. And we're going to be doing a little bit more on it. And we've talked about it on the Now Debates, and we've talked about it before. But the actual case that this gentleman was the lead investigator, and the real case is beyond anything we've said, and is incredible, and hopefully we're going to try and get this story out to you guys, and it's out there in the public domain. It's not, it's there for you to find.
Yeah.
But it is incredible, and it needs to be told.
And we've got a few ideas for projects coming up that are evolving around that. We're not going to say too much at the moment. But the other thing I thought as well, do you know that prophecy you found earlier on in the year about the two brothers and the great leader, the Nostradamus one, bud?
Yeah.
Being the fact what's going on in Italy, that's becoming quite something at the moment, isn't it?
It is.
Especially with the way Donald Trump is treating it. Anyway, I just thought I'd make that point. But yeah, this Penturk incident. How much can you tell us at the moment, or would you like to wait until we've got more information before we go public with it?
Well, a ship appeared in Penturk, but it didn't fly down. It didn't appear in the sky. It came through a dimensional portal. Different crafts come off the main one. They basically signalled to the helicopters that were flying around, but before that there was one of the big sort of like spy planes with a big satellite dish on it was circling Penturk, I believe.
Right. Okay.
And anyway, one of the objects went to Lantriston Common. This is as far as I'm aware so far, and they believe it was shot over Lantriston Common and came down in Smilog Woods. Now there's video footage of trees snapped 65 foot up in a particular pattern. There's evidence of the military piling metal up and removing it from Lantriston Common. There's the explosion that was recorded over Lantriston Hospital and in the villages nearby. And this thing, whatever this thing was, if it was shot down, was removed. A forestry commission were involved in removing the trees. I mean, it's a really it's a bizarre and it's a really big case that was kept out of the public domain. It's got this evidence of the military camp in there the next day. There's quite it's an extraordinary amount of evidence that the investigation Gary Jones did is unbelievable. I mean, if there was an award for investigating with the means he had, he would win it. And
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, he fair dues. I mean, he did a sublime job. Even when others turned their back on the case, who have profile sort of like ideals and stuff, he still stuck to it and he went at it full bore and he investigated to the best of his ability. And it is incredible, guys. It's out there. It's on YouTube. Go and check it out. It's a world changing case. World
It's
changing.
Gary with an I.
Yeah, and I believe it's I can't think of her name. Kat, is it the girl?
Yeah, I don't know. Is it Carter? Kaz Carter? I'm not entirely sure of her surname.
I know I can't think because we're looking at so much stuff. But basically, she did a lie detector test. She didn't just pass once; she passed 3 times. Now, if that doesn't tell you somebody's telling the truth, I don't know what does. And there's several eyewitnesses which Gary went and spoke to. It's amazing. It's incredible, and it's worth checking out, guys. And we will be putting some more of it on the channel because I want people to know about it.
So if we're not self-isolating over the next couple of weeks, we're hopefully going to be releasing some actual case footage, which would be nice.
Hopefully. Well, yeah. So, should we get into these videos then?
Absolutely. So we've got 4 videos today, and the subject of tonight's debate or discussion or talk is ghosts and other paranormal phenomena that were captured live on TV. So this first one is an oldie but a goodie. Okay. Richard, have you got the YouTube in front of you?
I am prepped.
You are prepped. Excellent.
I am
So
prepped.
we are going to show the first bit of footage. This is of a football match. I believe it's an Italian football match. And keep an eye in the stands, because it's in the stands that this strange phenomena occurs. This I found quite freaky because there is something about this kind of thing. It's creeped me out since I was a child. So I would show it to you and see if we can get your opinion on this, Mr. Richard, because quite frankly, I haven't got a clue. So guys, I will be back with you in about 30 seconds. What I'll do, I'll play the clip through twice. And you might find that things go a little bit silent because there's no video. When I've slowed it down, there's no audio in the background, okay? So have a watch. Let us know on the chat what you think of this.
Es correcto, ningún amonestado.
Sacará el arquero, le pega fuerte a la pelota. Vaca, se termina el encuentro de ida, octavo de final, Copa Bristol Libertadores.
Es correcto, ningún amonestado.
Sacará el arquero, le pega fuerte a la pelota. Vaca, se termina el encuentro de ida, octavo de final, Copa Bristol Libertadores.
Sorry, guys, had a bit of a glitch there. Richard, what did you think of that, my friend?
How old is this video?
Do you know, I think it's like the 90s. It is it is quite old. I remember it from like a while back.
Because when I did a research on the Sony camcorder that they put this bizarre filter in, one of the things they did as well was they put the same filter in CCTV and video cameras, like TV cameras. And I think, if that was somebody actually physically running, nobody else seems to pay attention.
And the fact it seems to go through the crowd members.
Yeah, and obviously it's a bit translucent. So I would say, genuinely, it would, if somebody brought this evidence to me and I had the background information, I would say it's paranormal. But I think it's something to do with these camera filters, because I think it was coming up to 2000, the end of the 90s. They just took these cameras and they scrapped them, because this old footage of like the BBC catching strange phenomena live. There's many accounts that were sort of like dismissed, and I think it was because of this old technology, because they did things back in the day. We, as you know, we are 40 years behind what actual technology there is. And then you've got people like this. They were putting this sort of technology into things, and they didn't before they understood it. The same with the Sony camcorder.
Well, it's a broadcast quality camera, obviously, because because obviously it's filming a football match. This is a televised broadcast. With several cameras, and obviously this is we've got to think of as well. This is very, I've zoomed that in. This is actually very how you spot that as well. It's blinking, you miss it. Obviously, I've slowed it right down there, and I've played with the footage, and I've tried to make it as clear. I haven't obviously done anything to make the footage clearer. I've just zoomed in on it, and obviously tracked the figure as it's running. That's the only adaptation I have done to that video. So I played the video as it is first, because literally you can only see it. It's literally in the background. It's blinking, you'll miss it. The speed that person is running as well is literally quite it's quite something.
Yeah, that's the thing, it's the speed. If you was running across, I've been in a stadium and a grandstand and stuff, and you wouldn't run that fast. You would be a bit more tentative, because there are quite a few trip hazards, and especially running towards a crowd.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, there's seats there, so I can't see them really having space to run.
Yeah.
So what would you say that is? Would you say it's a spirit, or would you say it's something else?
I would go with something else. Personally, I would think, because, there's so much evidence out there for this world being visited by extraterrestrials, right? The evidence is it's insanely overwhelming, and that to me,
so why would it, to be devil's advocate, why would the extraterrestrials be running around a stadium? Or is this something on a different level of reality? Is this someone going for a run in, or a different point in time?
There's the possibility it's a time glitch. But to me, it just seems it's got, I don't know, I get a vibe from the figure itself.
Right.
And it's just, it's the fact it's just all black, and it just seems, and the speed it's running as well, like through a crowd. It's just, it's otherworldly. You've seen spirits conform to the makeup of reality.
Yeah.
They still conform to it. You get the spirits, you see, like, spirits walking through walls, when in their reality there was a door.
Yeah.
And you get spirits who were sort of like half in the floor, because in their reality the floor was a lot lower.
Yeah.
But this is actually you know, I can't imagine this stadium, if it is, you know, if it's 30, 40 years old, it's still quite a new structure.
Yeah.
So if there was a spirit, it would have to, you know, it would adhere to the environment it was used to.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, I think it is something else. I do. I think it is. I think it's something, you know, what we experienced in Beda that time when, you know, when we made that video, when something possessed me. I think it's along the realms of that myself.
Well, like an Earth, like something to do with like the Earth, then.
No, something to do with like extraterrestrial in nature, something otherworldly.
Ah, right. I
think.
see. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's more to do with that. I mean, you've got to think now. This is football, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to think of the hate associated with football. Because I went to 2 football matches when I was a kid. 2 worst experiences of my life. I spent the entire day literally running for my life. And I was only a kiddie, and I had grown men wanted to kill me. And you know, you think you've got that sort of like in one area en masse, all that sort of like hatred. You know, I think you're gonna have things there that, you know, feed from that. Personally, that's just a theory, but that's the sense I get. You know, like attracts like.
The Nicola on the chat says, "Have you guys seen the one that was in the Sun a few years ago? A young boy filming off his phone. It was a new house, and he was doing a tour of the upstairs, and a spirit comes out of one of the rooms. It's amazing."
Is he a young? I think it is. I think I've seen the one with a young kid.
Yes, a young kid.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah. Same thing. You know, if we look at the image, very sort of rudimentary old camera.
Yeah.
And you know, you're talking the same. I think the more you filter things, which we have got for today, there's filters for filters for filters.
Yeah.
You're filtering out a lot of the elements that we can't see.
Would be interesting to see if we could actually do some manipulation on this footage then, and see if if we can actually pick up anything else.
Yeah.
It is.
I think so, yeah.
Chris says parallel dimension shift and showing something phasing in and out of reality. Doesn't seem haunting enough for it to be a ghost, yet it does seem otherworldly. Yes, he. It's like, oh God, at the end, and the figure was black. The one thing I would say about the figure being black is sometimes spirits can appear black on camera.
Yeah.
Like the picture we shown, I believe it was the Amy and Alice case, or it might have been an open debate before that. It's on the most recent video, the Paranormal compilation we released on Sunday, where it's the black shadow on the stairs. And a lot of the time spirits can become like black in photos because they're made of light. It's a bit like when you look into the sun and they will come out as black. That's just I don't think this is it, and I agree with you. It's like what this reminds me of. Do you remember the haunting of the Stocks Bridge bypass back in the 1980s? When they were building the Stocks Bridge bypass, and that was one of the things that a lady, one of the ghost reports from that, and that was like there's 2 police officers that were attacked. They were literally physically attacked as if someone was batting their car. Yeah. They captured apparitions of this monk there, and the kids singing Ring a Ring of Roses and then disappearing, which I think if I saw that, it would change my world. But no, in all honesty, there is a clip there, and Strange But True, if anyone remembers Strange But True with Michael Aspel back in the early 90s, they reconstructed this footage of this woman saw the arms and legs of someone running across the bypass, and for some reason that stirred something in me when I was a kid, and I've never liked, because I've always had, when I was younger and living in my parents' house, I used to have something similar to what you see in those stands running across my wall, and I would see it near enough every single night. It would be like a black figure, and it would literally run from one end of the room, only about 10 foot, but it would literally run from one end of the room to the other. And that that was something that used to like sort of freak me out.
Mm.
That's probably where the initial fear come from. And obviously seeing that reconstruction of Strange But True then a couple of
Yeah.
years later,
Well,
compounded that kind of.
yeah. But I'm going to go against you on what I think why spirits appear as dark. Okay,
Right.
because every time I've ever seen a dark spirit, and we had an interaction where we did this case, and there was a young man, he was a soldier, and me and one of the investigators, James, could see his legs marching back and forth in this extended garage. Now he was in a dark place. He was in a dark place. Bless him. And he was dark. He was appearing as a shadow. We could see his legs walking past. And most of the entities I've come across to appear as a shadow is because of their mindset. Now I've come across and I've seen.
Sorry, Rich. It's just on camera. It's not so much when they appear to us as dark. That's different.
I'm on about
on camera.
I'm on about this on camera as well. I'm on about like manifesting. I'm on about like you know as we know poltergeists are basically spirits who have been in that place in between worlds for too long, and that's all that's left is emotion.
Yeah.
And I think the more the more that emotion is of a negative sense, then the more their light will go that way.
Yeah.
it's just that's just me personally how I feel from all the interactions I've had with spirits over the years. But I think that works the same for camera as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. But I think there are cases where that can happen, where it can be that bright. It's a bit like I had a friend when I was a kid, and his voice was really, 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 really high, right? And it was that high pitched, the telephone couldn't discern it. So every time he phoned me, it was like he was talking with a really low voice. It was madness. It's because his voice was that high, the actual audio compression from the telephone could not handle that high pitch of voice. So that's what I'm getting that from. It is a kind of science behind it. And that is,
I get what you mean.
That is the kind of again, it's case by case. Again, this is definitely, I would agree with you, otherworldly. Again, I was just being devil's advocate by saying to you, is this so we can explore all options. So another thing, just to say, Nicola, my dad remembers when we were young, seeing black shadow running up the stairs. So him and his brother followed it, and it went into the wardrobe. And when the wardrobe dropped, then the wardrobe dropped on my uncle. Oh, bloody hell! That sounds quite terrifying.
Yeah. So been there.
Yeah, way too many times. Way too many times. So the next clip I'm going to go on to, we're going to go to something a little bit different. Is we're going to go to a clip by Channel 4. This is live on Channel 4. Now, I think this is the next one. Hang on. We have... No, the next one, sorry, is a CNN report after the death of Michael Jackson. And it is apparently what people believe to be Michael Jackson's ghost. So we'll go to the report and then we'll show it to you. The report isn't... obviously, it has been syndicated by other channels, but I know the original report has now been taken down by CNN. So let's take a look at this.
Ted Rowland stands by with one more with Miko. Ted.
All right, Larry, we're inside Michael Jackson's bedroom suite with Miko Brando, our tour guide here, and you're looking at the doors, and you can see the locks on the doors. Miko, privacy was key in this room, obviously.
Yeah, he liked his privacy. When the doors were open, it was okay, but when he locked, he wanted his privacy. He had his privacy.
We are back, and we are back. We're just waiting for Richard to catch up, And
I couldn't actually see it in that clip, Jack.
you can't see it.
No, I couldn't see. Well, I know the image. I've seen it, but I couldn't see it in that clip for some reason. It didn't look like it actually walked past.
No,
That was
it's
weird.
not. But it's stood by the fireplace. It's literally stood statically by the fireplace.
Oh, the image I remember is where it walks past the fireplace. That's what I remember.
Yeah, I remember it doing that as well, actually. But apparently not, because the proof is in front of you. Perhaps it's a Mandela effect.
It's weird. Yeah, but yeah. Well, I'm gonna throw on my conspiracy brain, right? And this is gonna cause controversy. Okay.
Oh God.
Yes. I don't think he's dead, personally.
No.
No, I don't. I really don't.
Why's that?
Really, really don't. I just don't. I don't know. I think. I mean, if you look at his life, right? I mean, he had a pretty. Don't get me wrong. As much money as he had and all the fame, right? He didn't have a very good life. At really any point, you know, there was controversy surrounding that man from a kid.
Yeah.
And, you know, as we know from what we've heard about his childhood and everything else, and becoming an adult, I mean, he was 50. I mean, and he never really, he never really had a good life. And I think with that money, you can buy a certain amount of anonymity. And I just don't think he is. I think he just had enough. I just think he had enough. I mean, it's all you know, this is saying he was on this and he was on these painkillers and he was on that.
And it's paedophilia.
Well, I know. I gotta be honest. I just think he was.
I don't believe he was, to be honest. It's one of the few I actually don't believe he was. But
no.
Someone could give me evidence tomorrow and disprove it. But for what I know now at this particular moment. And I have looked into this before, but it was a while ago now, and I've slept since then.
Well, it was ridiculous. I mean, some of the families, I've actually looked quite a lot into it, because I've always been a fan of Michael Jackson. I thought he was one of the most amazing, rock pop stars that's ever been. And people just wanted money off him. They just wanted money off him, and you've got greedy people that will be like little earworms, and they will tell them how to get money off him. But I think the man just had enough, and off he went. And I don't know why. It's ever since there's a couple of things I've heard through my life, and I think there's quite a few celebrities that have decided to do that, and maybe there's a little place for them, because you don't know. There could be a beautiful 50-mile wide tropical island, and they're just all there, just chilling out. I just don't personally think the guy is dead, but if he is, I mean, you'd think his spirit would stay in Neverland, because that would have been the place he would have felt most secure. That was his kingdom, Neverland. And yeah, so
what do you think of that that footage then?
Looking at the light coming in through the windows, right? And I looked at the video once, because somebody sent it to me years ago. And as I was looking at it, I thought it could have been quite easily somebody walking outside, because it is in direct line of light. Now, if I was there investigating and I saw the footage, I would get somebody just to walk outside to see if they could recreate it. As we do as investigators, we try and
Yeah, to debunk it, to recreate it.
If evidence can be disproved, it's not really with the panel. You can have something that is so, unbelievable and validative. But you still can disprove it. It's like anything, It's like the story I used with my grandfather when he passed, and that coin in my pocket. I can debunk it. My heart tells me, and my faith tells me that it was my grandfather giving me a sign. I mean, it was a 1920 threepence. I'd never seen one up until that point, and it went cold in my pocket. But I could have picked it up in change. It was so small. It went in the right corner of my pocket. The air caught it. It's metal. It went cold. You can debunk it. But my faith tells me. But this, I would, when it comes to an investigation, you've got to draw on all conclusions first. So that's what I would have done. The light coming in from outside would have told me that it was a shadow cast.
What's getting me is, if you look at the shape of it, right? It's almost like a matrixing effect. It's a bit like a pareidolia effect, right?
Yeah.
Because I would like to see that mantelpiece up close, and if there was anything on it. What it looks like to me, and you can see it in the bottom hand corner of your screen, you can see part of it, is I think there's something red draped over the mantelpiece, right? With something on top of it which is black. Then you've got the shadow and the light reflecting it, because you can see in the bottom left hand corner of the screen, you could see the way the light is coming in from the side, and it's actually literally falling in the shadow of the door. So you've got the shadow of the door, and you've got like this kind of like red thing coming down. So perhaps if it's like a bit of cloth or something, and there's something like hanging there, so perhaps there's a bit of cloth there, there's something hanging there, and something on the mantelpiece. To me, it looks as if, because it's only blink and you miss it and you shut it down. I was looking at it earlier. Let's take one more. Should we take one more look at it?
I wasn't paying attention to that because I was expecting the figure to walk past, because that's the ghost image I know.
Well, should we take another look at it?
Yeah.
Ted Rowland stands by with one more with Miko. Ted?
All right, Larry, we're inside Michael Jackson's bedroom suite with Miko Brando, our tour guide here, and you're looking at the doors, and you can see the locks on the doors. Miko, privacy was key in this room, obviously.
Yeah, he liked his privacy. When the doors were open, it was okay, but when he locked, he wanted his privacy. He had his privacy.
Yeah, I'm going to call that one as a matrix in effect. Because you can actually see to the left of where the head is, there is like a little bit of the now debate is covering it. Let's see if I can bring this up a little bit on screen for you all, guys. Let's have a quick look. Let's add a quick image here. I'm going to bring this up on screen for you guys to see, okay? Because I think this is going to be quite interesting. So let's see if
I've never seen that image before. Never.
Well, I've got it on screen for everyone to see now, right? So I've literally just put this on screen now, all right? If you look at the fireplace, right? So if you guys are looking at this on your screen now, look at the fireplace, right? If you look on top of it, there's like a black thing. Now, that could be the top of someone's head, yes. You would have to know the proportions of it. So you'd say the door handles there, you're about about 50 meters in front, I would say 30 to 50 meters. I think what you're getting there, because there's slight blurredness around the edges as well of the doors, the way the light's coming in, the camera is basically slightly overexposed towards the bottom of the corridor. I think there is something, because the way the shadow of the door falls as well, I don't know whether it's like a rug on the floor or something, but that's a bit distorted as well. I don't know if that's a shadow of the door at the end of the corridor, but there is some sort of distortion. If you look at the door at the end of the corridor, just to the front of the fireplace and to the left, there's like a distorted part of the image there. If you look at the skirting board, it's slightly distorted. It's not sharp. If you look,
the image does move from the middle, but I would say that image I'm looking at on screen, I would say that's actually fake.
Well, I wouldn't say. Well, it's a CNN broadcast, so I unless obviously they're trying to sort of get a bit sensationalized, I would say, mate, that because if you look to the left of where what is supposed to be the head, that to me looks like a lamp. But if you look just to the left of it, it is, and as the camera swings round, it comes a bit more into focus. It's like there's something next to it. So I would say that is like a lamp or something, right? With like a drape coming over the mantelpiece. And I would say there is like something else that's on top of it, like, you know, maybe it could be a bottle of bloody spray for all I know.
It looks like, to me, as I'm looking at it, when I watched the image then and it panned around, it looks like somebody's actually put that in, to me. That's what it looks like
That's
to me.
what I found to me. It's like, because it's pixelated. You know,
Yeah.
It looks like someone's put a sprite in there from like an early PlayStation game or something. But I don't know whether this was actually live. I think it was actually, because it was on CNN.
Yeah, live CNN.
Yeah, it was live CNN.
I've never seen. Like I said, I've never seen this before. The image I remember is that view of something like walking past quite quickly. That's the image I remember watching this on CNN. So I don't know, but I would say, looking at what that is, I would say that looks, just to me, yeah, looks fake for some reason. I don't know. Could be wrong.
Yeah, it looks very, very strange as far as I'm aware. To me, I'm of the opinion. Now, I have seen this before. I seen this near enough when it was live, actually, and they brought it up. And to me personally, I just felt, yeah, there was something there's something not quite right with it then, because I do remember seeing this from when I was younger. For when, you know, Michael Jackson originally sort of passed away, or not long after that. You know, because this is 2009. It was around about the time I'd finished at the BBC, and because I was working, I'm not sure if it was it late 2009 or early 2010 he passed away. Because I remember I was just about getting into editing. I was learning to edit at the time.
I'm not actually sure. Time has gone so quick since the start of 2000. I'm not actually sure, to tell you the truth. I've got a couple of things wrong like that, where I thought somebody, you know, I even thought people were alive and they're not.
Well,
People were dead and they're not.
was Cat Stevens.
Yeah.
Okay, so Amanda says, I can't see anything. Talking about Chris Williams says, talking about hey now. Yes, I get that reference. Bring out your dead. The Dark Man is coming. Just, which one's better, Dark Tower or The Stand? Let us know in the chat. Soz made me think of that song, sitting by the fire. Sitting by the Fire by Eco Wonder. Amanda says a door handle, a small lamp, strange chimney sweep maybe. I'm looking at something. It was late 2009. Yeah, I thought that because I remember at the time I was actually learning to edit properly, because I remember my sister coming in and telling me that he'd passed away, and obviously he went to the lounge and we all looked at the TV, and yeah, the rest, as you say, was history. So that's quite an interesting one. So the next one is this one caught by Channel 4, and it's on the official Channel 4 YouTube page. And so I hope we don't get penalised for using this. We are using it under fair use for comment, and we've only taken a very slight clip of this. But this is an interview with Labour, I believe is a Labour MP, Tom Watson, and look what happens and travels behind him. We'll be back after this.
That Parliament was misled by the company, and what our committee is trying to do.
Richard, your thoughts?
Well, to me, that does look like and I've done a lot of research on this because I happen to work with a wildlife photographer, and there's a brilliant series called Paranormal Factory, and they did.
Hang on, can you repeat yourself, buddy? You're breaking up.
You got me?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a brilliant program called Paranormal Factory.
I love that program.
Yeah, and they looked into sprites, and that's what that looks like to me.
What's a sprite, bud?
Basically, a sprite is like an insect or a bird or a flying object, and it moves beyond the speed capacity of the camera or film.
Right.
They kind of look like you would imagine a centipede, but with wings instead of legs.
Right.
And they were just given the nickname sprites. And I worked with this guy, and he was, like I said, a wildlife photographer, and he said pick them up all the time. And there's a few very famous images, and they were supposed to be, at the time, they were thought of as, otherworldly creatures and this and that. And when they were actually, other people took them and changed the image, they were just insects. And I probably think that's probably more likely just a seagull or something, because it's right on. It's right on. You've got Big Ben in the background, so you've got the Thames right there, and I would have said that's probably more likely a seagull.
Yeah, I am probably going to go with that. It's probably a bird, or maybe even some kind of drone, because you've got that kind of wing. You can see the wings there, and you could see something coming down underneath it. I would have basically said this is something more or natural or man-made than anything otherworldly. To me, that the way, and as well as the trajectory, that is going from A to B. Now, when you see UFOs, they don't necessarily behave like that. They tend to hover. They tend to cluster. They don't tend to literally behave like a bird or a plane. That is behaving like a bird or a plane, as far as I'm concerned. It's quite an interesting one because it's something that was possibly thought to be paranormal, and it's good that you can get footage that we can debunk. Like if you look at it a certain way, it kind of looks slightly like a spaceship. Looks a bit like the Orville, actually. When it slows down and it's doing that kind of slightly that doubling effect, that's nothing I've done. That is what it's doing, and that adds credence to what you're saying. But to me, it looks, if I look at it a certain way, it looks like the Orville spaceship.
Well, I'm looking at it like with its coloration as well. You've sort of got grey, black, and white.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I would say I'm gonna
say that as well.
It's just the image is moving so fast for the camera, it creates that doubling effect.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and that's that has I have heard about that. I think it was on Fact or Faked. Wasn't that like on a church tower camera or something they did it on? And I've seen all weird things up there, and it actually turned out to be birds.
Yeah, they did it there, but they went to a cave. They went to the big, the one they skydive into. And they went there and they filmed these sprites. This gentleman had filmed these sprites. He'd sent the image off to Fact. They went, and they said it was just wildlife. It just moves beyond the speed of the camera, and it creates this effect. And incredible.
They do, yeah, absolutely. They do. Richard, we seem to be losing you a little bit, my friend.
It is.
Have you been moving around? Because you were fine earlier, but you seem to have.
I sat perfect. Same thing as not last show. I think it was the show before. Bit of paranormal activity going on around me at the moment. Saw a figure earlier. I went down to see earlier, and this weird little kettle thing, and it just clicked on. So after a couple of weeks, I don't know what it is. I think it's just something it's trying to tell me. It's like something's coming, and it's trying to prepare you for it.
Yeah, we're getting the same vibe here.
I keep feeling like like when you lick, let's say lick a battery, but you get that static sort of taste, like if a lightning storm's about to happen.
If you lick the battery.
Yeah, battery. I've actually when I was a kid.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I seen this meme earlier, and it was just like parents be like, "Oh, wash your hands," and like kids be like, and you're like licking this metal bar in like this queue, like, and I'm thinking, yeah, I've probably done that when I was a kid at some point, like, you know, especially the fact because obviously growing up with a visual impairment, up until I was about sort of 13, 14, I used to do a lot of things like for self-stimulation because. And it's a kind of a common theme with people who have visual impairments is they will have different mannerisms and weird things.
Just normal kids have that. Yeah, my boy will chew. He will chew anything. If he got a plastic bottle in his hand, he'll chew the lid off it. I know loads of kids who do that. But especially boys with chewers. We just chew.
Yeah.
We'll just chew pens. We'll chew bloody anything.
Like.
Yeah, it is. It's you know, Freud. Don't ask Freud what that means, for Christ's sake. But yeah. Don't. Yeah, it's just one of them things. I still do it to this day. I mean, all the pens in our pencil case, because me and Emma obviously go to college together. But she knows who my pens are because I've chewed the tops on them. What's that about? I don't even know why I do it.
No, yeah. You were terrible to bite your nails as well.
Oh, terrible. Just got to chew. Just chew. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's a weird thing. Yeah. But I mean, that's going to be, you know, you can imagine some poor family in a kid when their kids just licking stand and everybody just across. I'm going to freak out right now, wouldn't
I? Yeah. Anyway. This last clip is from a Twitch streamer and YouTube streamer called Rubsy. I hope I've got his name right. And he was broadcasting live on Twitch. Now, Twitch is a live streaming platform which is older than live streaming on YouTube. It was like one of the original live streaming platforms. And a lot of gamers would live stream on Twitch. Live stream their games, build communities around certain games. I believe in this. He's actually live streaming a brilliant game called Skyrim, The Elder Scrolls. And he's at a friend's house, and this is quite a popular clip. And I thought this would be a good one to discuss because when we go to houses as investigators, we rarely see this type of stuff. When we go there, whatever's causing the problem tends to shut the hell up. I really don't know why. I think it's because they know we can actually do something about it, and we have proven that, you know, several times. Mm-hmm. That we can, you know, do a lot of the time. If we can't do something, it's because of a non-paranormal reason. That's not blowing our own trumpets. It's just the fact of, like, you know, if someone needs help, and we try our best, don't we? But we do. We give it our all, like.
Well, I've had people phone me, and just from a phone call, the activity stopped because the threat of us coming out. Yeah. And I've known that from, like, other people when I was in the church learning, and I know that from other people who was going to do investigations. They phoned a medium, and it's only when, and this has happened to me, if I'm talking to someone and the conversation is interrupted, or the conversation is something weird's going on, which we've had on numerous occasions, then I know something's really trying to stop our help. You know what I mean? It's sort of like, you know, the phone call can determine the level of activity. But just on the promise of us coming out, we'll cease all activity. You know, and that is true.
Yeah, and not just us. There's other people who who do this, and it happens to them as well.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's because they know they're going to get help. A lot of the times, it is because the spirit who is there is in desperate need of help themselves, and they know once the phone call's been made to someone like us who will look into it and will try and understand it, they have no need to use or exhaust all that energy again.
No, but, that's right.
Whether this is real or fake, I don't know. If it's fake, it's a very good fake, a very entertaining fake. But I'm inclined to believe this is real. So we're going to go to this live stream on Twitch by Rubsy. It's not the full video. We have cut quite a bit out because I didn't want to, rob the entire video off his channel. But we have highlighted some of the key things that happened to him on his stream. And we will put the link to Rubsy's channel in the video in the description below, as we will with all other videos as well when this goes live.
Well, just as this finishes for you, Jack,
Right?
if you just go and have a look at the chat and give me a little 30 seconds to watch what you've put in, and then I can critique it then.
Okay, let's do this.
But yeah, that was the tragic story of my my bringing down of my dearest Lydia. Oh my! The fuck was that? Come, Elvis. Elvis, let go of my headphones. Dude, the light, you just turned it off and it went back on? What the fuck? I'm like on the low key watching the door right now.
Same.
Like I'm watching.
It's not like we needed, guys. It's not like we needed any sleep or anything.
Oh my god! What the fuck? Fuck this. Fuck this.
Give me a second.
No, God, not again.
Dishonored trailer. I don't give a shit about Dishonored 2 right now.
It just did it again.
There's Elvis running in the fucking corner again. Did you miss something? Yeah, the door just fucking slammed again.
Halt.
What's
City's
up?
closed with the dragons about.
Right.
Official
okay.
business only.
The light's fucking on. The light is fucking on.
Not again.
Is he punching the door?
I hope to God he is.
I think he
We're
just
about to
ticked
find out in a
off
few
him.
seconds.
No, okay.
What the fuck? And so I was just gonna chill here over the night. He was cool with it. He set me up for the Wi-Fi thing. And then the ghost is like, knock, knock, motherfucker. We're still here up in this bitch. It's fucking ridiculous. I don't know what to do.
Like I said, I don't think you should go fucking
Oh, God.
Too late. Too late.
So, oh, cool. All right. Oh. Yeah, fucking okay. Oh, all right.
Back. Apologize for the slight delay there. Let's take a quick look at the chat. So, you were left. UFO to the top left of his head. I thought they visited the monumental places. He was the big guy though. By Chris. Chris also says either that or really, really, really small seagull. That is quite common. My uncle used to do filming and had a problem with sprites, and I remember him complaining about it. Amanda says, "This gave me the ghoulies when I first seen this." No joke. Chris says, "Wow, that Twitch one is scary." Amanda, I tried it very I think it's a very scary fake. Amanda says. Chris said a very noisy spirit, and Lord Fibreed said smudged place. It's an old clip, Lord Friberry. This is quite a few years old, and we will be discussing it a bit more. But it's actually quite a prominent, popular YouTube clip. Almost too much going on at once. Right, bearing in mind, guys, right, if you're listening to this is a cut down version. So this happens over the course of about a 3 or 4 hour period. After this, so this stream happened on Twitch. Apparently, obviously, the people watching it, because he may have had like a couple of hundred or a couple of thousand followers, so spread the word. He then put a video, a compilation up on his YouTube channel. What I'm showing you at the moment is a compilation of what's happened, and this is over like about a 4 hour period where he is pet sitting for his friend, and his friend has basically gone out for the evening. And he is basically he's Twitch streaming. His friend has hooked him up with a wireless connection, and he is basically Twitch streaming Skyrim whilst this activity is going on behind him. So the focus, I believe, of his channel is nothing to do with the paranormal. We have checked out his channel. It's all surrounding gaming. Like the conversations that they are having is around things like Skyrim, Dishonored 2. You know, a gaming that was happening at that time. This is why we picked this clip, because there is no, obviously they could have set it up as a bit of a bit of a prank or something. It is quite possible, maybe, but out of all of the ones I've seen with Twitch, this is one of the most genuine I have seen. And when we do cases for people, when we've gone to people's houses, and this is the type of stuff that they do report. They reported doors slamming, where a door is slammed and they won't be able to leave a place, or they're locked in a room or something. Being pushed, objects being moved. We've come across this plenty of times where this sort of stuff has happened. We've had reports of when people have gone out shopping, they've come back and their cupboards are all open and stuff is all over the floor. So this is the closest thing I suppose we could get at this particular moment to kind of showing or demonstrating what some people do go through when they experience paranormal activity in their home. Richard, you back with us?
I am.
So this is what obviously what your guys are seeing is a very trimmed down version. I'm showing you in a few minutes what happens over the course of a few hours. So if this was a prank, someone's going to have to remain there undetected by the camera, by Rubsy himself, for a good few hours, a good couple of hour period, like a good, because this is not something that happens over the course of. But when people Twitch stream, they Twitch stream an entire gaming session. If I go on a gaming session, for example, I can be on a gaming session anything from 4 to 6 hours. If I'm not doing anything else that day, I sit down and my intention is to game. Anything else can bugger off for the rest of the day, as far as or the rest of the evening or whatever, whatever it is, as far as I'm concerned, being a gamer myself. What's your thoughts on this, Richard?
Well, I mean, fair dues to the kid for sitting here for just over 2 hours, I believe it was, right? And going through that. I mean, fair dues to him, credence, that is. Right? Most people would have fled straight away. The thing is, it's not his place. Now, if that sort of activity was happening in that property, you would have thought that his friend would have obviously mentioned it, or even had his own videos of activity. That's the only thing I'm a little bit dubious about. But, I mean, as activity goes, I mean, that is general activity. That is as basic and as normal as the paranormal gets, right? With doors, lights, the kid's reaction. I mean, when in the first scene, when he sort of he kills his fingers and he sort of leans forward before he turns his head. I mean, that's a natural fear reaction.
Yeah.
It's to bring your head away from the danger as much as possible before you look at it, right? And he's sort of facing his back towards whatever it is. And, you know, his reaction when he goes in the bathroom, he's like, I don't know what's going on. It is a sublime video. And his reaction only gives it credence, really. It only adds to the validity of it. And like you said, he doesn't have any other paranormal thing on his web show.
No.
So, I mean, to me, if I was looking at them, somebody showed that to me, I would have said it was paranormal. Could it have been fake? Yes, it could. But his reaction, I don't believe his reaction is fake.
I've actually been through a very similar experience. When I was in college, I'm not going to go into the full details of what happened, but in the college I stayed in, they had halls of residence. And the halls of residence had this one was due to be decommissioned to be renovated. So for the entire college year, it was the start of the college year, for the entire college year we couldn't have anyone in that hall of residence. So there was let's say about 30 to 40 rooms, right, that had to be rehoused for the place to be renovated. And we were living in a house outside, and accidentally my friend had a really, really loud hi-fi, and he left that hi-fi on, he left the alarm on, and he went out for food. And the alarm came on, the hi-fi came on full blast, and in the street we were living in, there was a lot of doctors and nurses that worked in the nearby hospital. And he came back, and they were trying to take the door off the hinges, basically, to get in the house to turn the music off. Now this hi-fi was disco level. It could shake your windows, it could break your windows on full volume, quite conceivably. It was loud, very loud. It was bassy, you know. It was something that belonged probably in a small hall or auditorium, not in a 12-foot by 14-foot room. So the college basically rehoused us in this hall of residence. There's 6 of us in this hall. Now we know that no one else had contact with it in it. There's only 2 entrances, and there was only 1 key. There was basically 1 key between 6 of us. So one of us had to make sure that we were accessible to get in and out at all times. We were there for 2 days. And you couldn't get in through any of the second story windows. Bearing in mind, most of the people surrounding us are blind or severely sight impaired. You can't get in through the ground floor windows in this college because they were bars. And the reason why they were bars, and they're not like prison bars, it was like if you opened the window, it was a bar that kind of like had a bit of like a latch on it, so the window could only open so far. And the reason was, obviously, if a blind person is walking past the cane, they don't bang themselves on the window. It was a safety thing. So we're not talking about bars as in prison bars. I mean a bar that you can only open the window so far. It would stop how far the window opened. I believe there was, basically, there were rooms on the left, rooms on the right, and there's big common areas with small rooms in the middle. And 2 staircases, so literally you could go up 1 set of stairs, walk through a common room, and then go down the other, or go up to the 3rd room, come back the way you came on the 3rd floor, and then come back down that way. So you imagine an L with a flight of stairs on the right side and a flight of stairs on the left side. There's 3 of us here at this time, and we'd ordered a takeaway. Now, one of my friends, a lot of my blind friends have a really acute hearing ability. So if I drop a coin on the floor, they could tell you exactly what coin I dropped. And I have tested this thousands of times. And literally, one of my friends, this is back in 1999 when this happened. It would have been 2000. Back in 2000, it would have been the September of 2000 when this happened. And I remember I was sat on the loo, because the new halls had like ensuite toilets and stuff. These halls didn't. They had communal toilets. So I was sat on the loo, and I heard my friend come in, running out, and he was screaming. And he was quite terrified at the time. And he said, he was in the room next to me, and we took the downstairs rooms because they were quite big. the downstairs rooms on the ground floor were a lot bigger than the rooms upstairs, because the rooms upstairs were literally about 10 foot by about 6 foot. They were like literally enough for a cupboard and a bed, and that was it. And we had rooms which was like twice the size of that. So you had one size of it was a bed and a cupboard, and the next room was enough for a desk and a small wardrobe, and that was it. And you had a partition in between with like a door sort of cut out, not an actual door, but the door frame sort of cut out in between it. I really don't tell you what the room looked like, because that's going to come later. And he shouted at me. He said that something has dropped on the floor when I tried to open my door, and I don't know, was it behind me? He said, I know our other friend is on the phone. Did you just come up behind me? You trying to play a prank on me? And I said, but I've been on the toilet. I've been sat here, doing my business for the last 10 minutes. He's like, well, someone's in here then. Someone's in here. He said, someone has dropped a 50p piece, he said, but it's not one of the new ones, because around about 2000 we had new 50p come in. And he said, it's one of the ones like they used to have the hands on them. If anyone's ever read the book The Queen's Nose, and you had the 50p pieces with the hands on them, it actually was one of them. It was like a very old 50p piece, one of the big 50p pieces that you had back in the 90s. And lo and behold, I went and checked by his room, and on the floor I found an old 50p piece. And I know for a fact that my friend didn't have any money, because about an hour ago we'd had an argument, because he was a very cheeky lad, but he'd kind of talked me into buying him a takeaway without actually me realising it, and before I known it, I was roped into getting him this takeaway. In other words, he'd wound me up to the point I really fancied this pizza, and he said, well, if you're buying yourself one, you may as well buy me one at the same time. He had that kind of way about him, love him. Very, very, it's one of them, friends, one of the boys. So, for the remainder of the night, we went into the side. We moved from where we were, and we went into the side of the building. And we kept hearing footsteps and things upstairs, and my friend had a guide dog, and his guide dog was going absolutely nuts, and we could hear doors slamming, we could hear people walking around upstairs, we could hear things being dragged. And so what we did is we sent my mate and his guide dog up one flight of stairs, and we went up the other. So we would meet in the middle on the second floor, cross paths, and then meet in the middle at the third floor, and then go round the other way. So we checked the whole building twice. We got to the third floor, so we crossed paths on the second floor and got to the third floor. By the time I got back down to the second floor, all the furniture and boxes that were on the second floor of this building, which is quite a big building, it's a 30-room building, had all moved. As if a gang of people just come in, just moved everything around. It was bloody terrifying. And so we do what any old, 16 to 20-year-old guys would do. You sit there and you tell a few ghost stories. And a couple of other people who from our house who had gone clubbing that night came back in. We had pizza, and we basically all just laughed it off and went to bed. The next day, we didn't spend any time in the place. We went and played some football. We went and just normal stuff you do on a Saturday in college. We went to town, ended up over at the social club at night, and a couple of boys were thinking of going into town clubbing, and one of the boys didn't want to go. So he said, do you want to go, Ja? And I was like, I'm really tired, but I'm going over and I'm going to go to bed. So I went to bed really, really early that night. I was in bed by 9 o'clock. And I woke up to 3 large bangs. And they were literally like someone was hitting the walls with a hammer. It was terrifying. I shot straight up because I thought it was one of the boys pissing around, coming back from the pub. I thought that they were banging the windows because they'd forgot the key. I was like, I'm coming now, guys, I'm coming. And I'd literally got into the centre of the room. I was stood in the doorway, and this voice came out of nowhere, and it was quoting scripture at me. And it was walking around me. It was circling me. And it was literally It wasn't like I experienced now with spirit. It was literally, it was happening to me. This voice was there. I opened the door into the corridor. All I could hear was everyone snoring. And I walked into the common room because I didn't want to be on my own. Because I wasn't, even though I could hear my friends sleeping, there was other friends I kind of trusted more, and I went into that common room area. I didn't want to be anywhere near it, basically, so I went where my other friends were, because some of the friends stayed where we were on the ground floor. We were in the centre area, they were in the side area where we were telling the ghost stories and stuff, and I had this huge weight on my shoulder, and I sat there for about 3 hours, and literally I was that terrified I was crying. And my friend literally got up for a pee, and he's got a heavy set guy, and he pushed the door open, and next thing I know is I'm sat on the bed, all the boys are around me. Apparently I was screaming uncontrollably and jumped on him. So that was experience. So when that's happening to that guy on there, I can completely identify with what he's going through. So there you go, Richard, tell you a ghost story.
I've been doing ghost stories. I've been doing little 10-minute videos,
we're going to put them up in the next couple of days.
Yes, I've been telling a few ghost stories. I have many experiences like that. I mean, many. Especially when I was a kid. River Trains Wales head office was one of the big ones for me, which I've talked about in my little ghost stories. But yeah, I mean, because I've witnessed that stuff. You know, I've been pulled out of bed. I've had my bed covers pulled off me. I've seen things, I think 4 times in my life, I've actually seen something levitate. And until you see something like that, it's, you know, you're going to sort of dismiss most things.
Yeah.
But until you see something like that with your own eyes, I mean, brilliant one. When I was a kid, I walked into my bedroom and I put a cup of tea down on my telly, and it was in the corner of my room. And I used to hang stuff because I had like the bottom of a bunk bed. Because my cousin used to live with me, and when he left, I still had the bunk bed. And I used to hang stuff over the pole on my bed. And I went over to get something, and I saw this cup of tea just came down and just rested on my. Don't know why, couldn't tell you, but it just came down and rested on my bedside cabinet, and I backhanded this full cup of tea, right, in just pure terror. And it hit the wall, and there was tea right across my bedroom. And my mother came in. She went, "What the bloody hell's the matter with you?" And I couldn't even tell her. I just couldn't tell her at the time. She said, "Oh, you must." And when I did tell her, she said, "Oh, you must have just put it there, and you just didn't realise." You know, it was one of them because you're a kid. And yeah, so I mean, I've had many experiences like that. Many. I've seen a kid levitate, for Christ's sake, when he's sleeping. Like, I mean, you know, there's things you, like I always say, once you see something, you never unsee it. There's things you just don't forget. And, you know, which I'm going to do now and again. I'm going to slot them on the channel. I'm just going to tell, I've got loads of ghost stories. You know, and a lot of them are personal. And they are, you know, when I tell you these stories, they're coming from a real place. So, yeah, keep an eye out for them on the channel, guys. Let me know what you think.
Okay, so what do you think is actually happening there? Because that was the weird thing, is I never heard of any paranormal activity happening in that place since then or before then. So that was the point of me telling that story. So what do you think happened? What are we seeing on that clip with Rubsy?
Well, we've talked about this. I think people can be just as haunted as places. You know, and like in your scenario, Jack, go into that place. Probably it followed someone. It was meant to be. I know the things that happened to me when I was a kid, as cruel as they were, wouldn't have set me on this path, and I wouldn't have helped as many people as I have.
I agree with that.
And as bad as they were, you know, they isolated me. I mean, I grew up really street. I was quite a, you know, I was a very naughty boy, shall we say, when I grew up.
Richard, you're a very naughty boy.
Yes, I'm getting better, but I was a very naughty boy.
He's not the Messiah, he's a very naughty boy.
And, you know, it was a bit of a duality, because I was having these paranormal experiences, nobody else was, and I couldn't make the two tally up. I couldn't, even my best friend, I showed him something with my wardrobe. And I was saying to my father for months, I was saying, Dad, it's manifesting in my wardrobe. And he pulled the wardrobe out because I showed him that if you put a lighter in the gap in my wardrobe, it would blow out. And I would open my wardrobe, and you can see your breath sometimes. And I showed and he pulled the wardrobe out. He said, it must be a vent. He was going, it must be something. And he tried to debunk it, and he couldn't. And he was like, I don't know, it's something else. He said it must be just, a weird air current or something. Well, I showed my mate Thompson.
Hey, Rich, I got to stop you there. Just for 2 seconds. Chris, on the chat, just made a coffee and nearly had hot water everywhere and milk too. Cup moved as I poured hot water. Then it did it again when I went to pour the milk. So, did you just say the cup moved on its own, Chris? Let us know. Sorry,
well, Chris, sorry, I'll just tell him what that could be. That can be if you put your cup down on a wet surface, you have air trying to escape, and it will push your cup along. And you can try this yourself, especially if you put hot water in it displaces the air. Put a wet cup on the side, put hot water in it, and you will see it. You can actually just nudge it ever so slightly, and it will move quite a lot. Just saying, not to just say it's not paranormal, but it can be other things. But anyway, I showed my mate Thompson this thing, and he saw it with his own eyes, and he still couldn't. He didn't have nothing to say. He didn't have words. He couldn't form words to say, I don't know what to do, but. And I was thinking, oh my God, but I was just happy that he witnessed it, and he acknowledged that he witnessed it. But it's one of them things. It can be all for some and nothing for others.
Lord Frybreed? Yeah. Lord Frybread, I think. Hey, I left a plate and a silverware at my table once, and later I hear click, click, click from my kitchen, and the fork and the knife were in the middle of the plate. I lived alone, and I lived alone at the time. That's quite interesting. Wow, that's quite interesting to read. X formation. Lord Freybeard. Oh, it was like in an X formation. I've got you. Yeah. Okay. As if someone had eaten something, had finished their dinner, then basically, or something like that. I live with a kind of stuff on a weekly basis. Amanda says, I have done for 7 years this July, and while it doesn't get easier, you learn to ignore it. On its own, I had a spoon in one hand and the kettle in the other. So basically, yeah, it moved on its own. He had a spoon in one hand and the kettle in the other. That was Chris. That was saying about the cup of coffee. I filled my wellies in Asda once as a kid, once or twice. Lol, was some pens and pencils. I don't get what he's saying there.
Was he saying he robbed?
No,
Was he saying he robbed that?
I kind of missed. I missed the what do you call it? Are you okay, Chris? Can you let us know if you're all right on the chat, my friend? If you want to chat with one of us, just message our Facebook page, facebook.com/paranormal now.
Yeah, if you've got anybody, drop us a line.
Or you can email us at paranormalnow@outlook.com if you have any worries, my friend. Just let us know and we will be happy to help you. It is. So do you think this is something that sort of happened around this Rubsy character, or do you think could it possibly be something passing through and just wanted to needed that video out there for a reason? Do you think it was something actually just doing it? Because he hasn't really had activity since, I don't think.
No, that's the thing. This is the thing. I mean, like the person, if that was commonplace activity in a home, the guy whose home it was would have said something or reported something. I mean, nobody's outed him for being fake. Nobody's come forward and said, "Oh, yes, fake." It could be just you can have psychic kinetic energy.
Yeah.
which is basically you've been, the energy is built up around you, right? And that can really do things to the environment.
What about
You
the
know,
fact
that's,
that he's on Twitch? What if it's someone watching? What if it's energy or spirit connected to someone watching?
well, I've seen telekinesis firsthand, and it is incredible, and it can span incredible distances. So that's a possibility. Somebody was watching him on Twitch, and they were causing that activity. I've seen it firsthand, and I know there is varying degrees of telekinesis, and you can have it very slight, or you can have it unbelievable. So yeah, that is definitely a possibility. That is without question a possibility.
Well, it's like you said about, when you were talking about those paranormal groups summoning demons and it can cause harm to people watching. It actually works the other way too.
Yeah, it does. It does. It could have been somebody watching Twitch and they just thought, oh, I'm going to be able to frighten this kid to death. You don't know. This is the way the paranormal works. There's so many, every time we've ever done the paranormal, we've learned something new. We've come across something new.
Yeah. Hello to Vinny. Nice to see you again, buddy. Again, this is why we've got the email address as well. You can also use the website. It's got our direct numbers on there, but if you're going to contact us for that, please just use it for cases under the I Need Help section of the website, which is www.paranormalnowinvestigations.com. That's www.paranormalnowinvestigations.com. Okay, well, I think we're coming to the end of the show, my friend. Because we've been going for about an hour and a half.
I was enjoying that. And I've been really starting to enjoy these now debates. I think they're becoming, like we had this concept a while ago, and I think they're starting to come to fruition now. I think they're starting to come into their own entity.
Yeah, well, it's just a bit of fun, isn't it? It's a bit of fun where we can discuss our evidence, we can discuss the evidences out there, we can discuss what's going on in the world. It's a bit of fun, and it's a way of connecting with you guys. It's a way of talking to people that enjoy and love talking about the paranormal. So any final words, my friend?
Yeah, keep an eye out for what we're going to be doing on the Penturk incident. Check out the ghost stories. Go to Jazzy's channel, because you've been putting stuff out there, Jazz, haven't you?
I have. I have released a new video on my channel. I will put a link to it. I don't know how, because I haven't actually got a designated name for mine yet. If you search for Jared Walters on YouTube, you will see my page. I will put I have linked to my channel in some of the videos. Yeah, have a look, because that has got some. That is more along the ITC stuff. It's about the conversations I've had with my brother Jonathan, and yeah, have a look, guys. I will most definitely post a link in the description below this video.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, check out. I'm going to be doing some ghost stories. Any questions or anything you want answered, guys, while you're listening? If you've got I love it when you put your paranormal experiences. I love it. So anything like that, check it over. We'll talk about it in the Now Debate. We'll see if we can work it out, or whatever we can do, we'll do. But yeah, just keep telling us stories, guys, and keep telling us what's been going on with you.
Thank you to everyone in the chat. Thank you to Suzanne, Amanda, Big Daddy Evil, Chris. There's lots of other people in the chat that I possibly haven't mentioned. Lord Freibeard. Yeah, there's quite a lot of activity in the chat at the moment. Thank you very much, guys. We'll see you soon for another Now Debate. Take care.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Keep chatting. Love and light to you all. See you soon, Parapeats.
Bye now.